Russ is the cringiest player the NFL has ever seen.
You gotta have an alter ego. His name's Mr. Unlimited.
It's so bad for dude, he continuously get trolled by other players in the league.
Hey Seattle, we got a deal.
Hey Seattle, we got a deal. Go Hawks!
He gets a bad rep, whether it's for his corny robotic sayings,
Go Hawks, go Hawks. Go Hawks, go Hawks.
It's Russel Wilson, the robot.
to his on-field issues, nowadays missing wide-open receivers, holding the ball for too long, taking bad sacks, which causes fights between his O-line on the sideline. Russ don't even want to build a relationship with his teammates.
Russ just said he called you. I'm like, nah, I got a call from a blocked number. He like, oh, that's him.
You will probably be surprised if I tell you his first few seasons in the league, he was actually loved and praised by the masses for coming in undersized, taking over a team, and actually performing well.
Russell Wilson, arm A+, feet A+, IQ A+. He's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
So let's take a deep dive into how Russ first went from love to ending up on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, and how everyone hates him now and loves to see his career on the decline.
Is he the most disappointing quarterback this season?
Russell Wilson's supposed to be a future Hall of Famer. He doesn't look like one.
Starting from the beginning, in the 2012 offseason, the Seahawks were in need of a QB bad. After years of swifting through different players back there, they decided to take their chances by signing veteran free agent Matt Flynn.
Matt Flynn trades in being the backup for a starting job on the West Coast.
To a lucrative 3-year, $26 million contract, Flynn was expected to be the team's new starter. However, the Seahawks weren't quite done yet. April 27, 2012, the Seahawks made a bold and controversial move by selecting Russell Wilson in the 3rd round of the draft. At 5'11", Russ was coming off an amazing college career numbers-wise, but he was considered undersized for an NFL QB.
Russell Wilson, his height will be his biggest inhibitor at the next level. He'll never be a prototypical NFL quarterback.
The decision to draft him was risky for a lot of teams, but thanks to this man right here, John Schneider, the Seahawks GM, saw something special in the young prospect.
We knew we were going to do something that was going to surprise, maybe some people out there. We knew that we had a chance to get a guy that we were totally in love with.
I remember John Snyder calling me and saying, bro, we're going to take this kid in the 3rd round, and I believe he can be our starter.
As training camp opened, a 3-way competition for the starting quarterback role unfolded between Matt Flynn, Tavares Jackson, and Russell Wilson. What happened next surprised everyone in the locker room.
He came up to me after a rookie minicamp and goes, Russ, I just want to let you know, you got the chance to be the starter here.
First off, his poise and his ability to just feel comfortable and communicate really well. He has plenty of vision. He has terrific mobility. He has a great arm. He can throw the ball down the field, and he can dump it off and move it around as he has to.
Russ quickly captured the attention of Pete Carroll and the Seahawks coaching staff. His preparation, work ethic, and on-field performances were turning heads. As the preseason progressed, it became clear he was not alright with sitting on the bench to learn. The rookie's rapid improvement created an unexpected tension. Matt, who had expected to lead the team, found himself in an actual competition with a 3rd round pick. The veteran's path to starting, once thought to be clear, was now obstructed by Russell's preseason performances. Through the first 3 preseason games, Russ threw for 35 of 52 for 464 yards and 5 TDs. Before the final preseason game had been played, Pete Carroll had seen enough. On August 26, 2012, he made a bold decision to name Russell the Seahawks starting quarterback of Week 1 of the regular season. It was a move that sent shockwaves through the NFL, Seahawks fan base, and the Seahawks players.
I've told hundreds of people since draft day to where we are, he will be the starter in Seattle, hands down.
The most dynamic quarterback in the Seahawks camp. He plays fast, the offense looks fast, he poses a dual threat when he's out there.
This unexpected turn of events created tension between Matt and the Rook. Even though it's not documented, you can only imagine how Matt felt. Just signed a deal thinking he was finally going to get his chance to start after 4 seasons in the league. Pissed, I would say, but when Russ was asked about it, of course he tried to make it seem like everybody was happy with the decision.
Coach said Matt's disappointed, but has he talked to you and being in your corner and giving you the support you need?
Well, Matt and I are always really close. It's one of those things where we're both very, very high competitors, and we want the best for this football team. And so we're just trying to put the best foot forward and just continue to grow and continue to work together, and great quarterback room. That's the great part about it all.
Pete's explanation was simple. He is prepared. He does not seem like a first-year quarterback, but this early move will only cause problems in the locker room after the Week 1 loss against the Cardinals. Russ threw for only 153 yards and 1 touchdown in the third quarter, losing the game 20-16. That's when everyone questioned the rook.
Every guy, especially defensively, because we had a championship defense already, was like, why in the hell are we playing this rookie?
Just like every new player to a team or move to the next playing level, they're going to get looked at crazy every time they don't perform well, because there is always someone else who has experience that can get the job done. But his rookie season didn't end too bad. He tied Peyton Manning's then record for the most passing touchdowns by a rookie and led the Seahawks to an 11-5 record and a playoff berth. His ability to extend plays with his legs and poise under pressure made him an instant fan favorite and the rising star in the NFL. Despite losing the job, Flynn remained with the team as the backup for the 2012 season. The Seahawks kept him on the roster due to the financial investment that they made on him. The competition and its outcome demonstrated Pete Carroll's commitment to his always compete philosophy, showing that contract size and veteran status would not guarantee a starting position. But while Russ's on-field success was undeniable, it was his off-field relationships with teammates that were more complex. Early in his career, he was often seen as overly ambitious, and some perceiving him as more focused on his personal brand than on team dynamics. But let him tell it, it was just his alter ego, Mr. Unlimited.
Mr. Unlimited.
The pinnacle of his early career came in February 2014 when he led the Seahawks to a dominant victory in Super Bowl 48. The 43-8 blowout against the Denver Broncos was a statement moment for the sophomore quarterback and the Seahawks defense. The Seahawks just won their first Super Bowl in franchise history. It shouldn't be nothing but good vibes, right? However, even in the moment of celebration, controversy lurked. Some within the organization felt Russ received undue credit for the team's success. The Legion of Boom defense and Marshawn Lynch beast mode running style were seen by many as true catalysts of the Seahawks' dominance.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I wouldn't have a problem at all if the MVP vote had gone to the entire Seattle Seahawks defense.
Marshawn and Richard Sherman had been vocal about their criticism, suggesting that Wilson was protected by the organization and did not always mesh well with the team's culture, which made sense, because if you think about it, even though Russ is a black man, he is not from the same background as these dudes a part of Legion of Boom or his running back, who are all from the inner cities where they're from. He went to a private school while mom and dad had amazing jobs, and I'm sure he didn't have a worry in the world. Of course, he's not going to relate with going back to the hood to pass out turkeys.
About turkeys back in the hood. I'm with you. You want me to come? You will. I appreciate it though, big dog.
Meaning, while football was the majority of his teammates' only way out, Russ had options even at the pro level in other sports. So there wasn't going to be a big relatability factor between Russ and his teammates. But the straw that broke the camel's back came during the following season after the Super Bowl win, the 2014 minicamp. This was the point that everyone got confirmation that Russ was the only one on the team getting special treatment. During a heated practice, Sherman, who is known for speaking his mind,
well, I'm the best corner in the game,
picked off Russ, but that wasn't enough. Sherm wanted to get inside Russ's head to remind the young Pro Bowler that despite the Super Bowl fame and endorsements that many on the defense felt they deserved, Sherman still owned his ass. According to witnesses, Sherman threw the ball back at Russ and yelled, "You fucking suck." Another fight broke out. Sherman was cussing and yelling while Russ seemed stunned. Pete Carroll, the energetic head coach, found himself in the middle. On one side was Russell, his star quarterback, the key to the team's offense success. On the other side was the entire defense, who felt that Carroll's protective stance towards Wilson undermined what the team stood for, which was accountability.
Being accountable was something big for us. Pete wasn't holding them accountable. Sherm, you know what I mean, spoke up. A couple of D linemen spoke up.
Pete then stopped practice and called a kumbaya meeting.
Near the kumbaya, and Pete tell him like, hey, you know, nobody go and talk to Russell. If anybody got something to say to Russell, come talk to me, come talk to, you know, the quarterback, but nobody go and talk to him. And that was when that shit, I mean, where that started. You know, you kind of putting him, you know what I mean, on the pedestal, and it's like, he don't have to be held accountable to the same shit that we do.
In an article from ESPN, noted that Richard Sherman held resentment towards Russ for being the favorite son, and Carroll showed favoritism towards him in the locker room. That special treatment extended beyond the practice field. Russell's polished public persona and focused on his personal brand began to rub his teammates the wrong way. They saw a disconnect between the Russell Wilson presented to the media and the one that they knew in the locker room. Like bro was faking who he was, and they didn't know which side of him was real or not.
Everyone thinks he's fake, and I don't think people like fake.
The relationship between Russ and his teammates was further strained by what many saw as lack of genuine connection. Marshawn, who was known for his funny, energetic energy, tried to build a relationship with his QB1, but Russ seemed uninterested and didn't want no parts.
Y'all ain't like go to a party, y'all didn't get together, y'all ain't doing it, y'all ain't kick it like that?
RB1 and his QB1 didn't have a relationship outside the white lines, which in some places that may work well, but football is a brotherhood on and off the field. It is the relationship you build off the field that translates to the work that you put on the field to get you hyped up to go to war each week with your brother. But when Russ went home for the day, he literally left work at work. But that incident from that 2014 minicamp practice only grew worse just months later, with 26 seconds left in their Super Bowl later that year, with a chance to be back-to-back champs on the line.
Second and goal. Read option. Beast mode! Beast mode. Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line. Phenomenal play that wound up in Percy's arm. What the fuck? No! Why would you throw it? Why would you throw it?
Russell teammates, especially those on defense, hated that man and Pete Carroll after the loss, except for Beast Mode, who said he went straight up to his head coach and laughed in dude's face.
I hit his ass with the biggest.
You laughed in his face? What the?
The interception was seen as a turning point that intensified the already tension within the team. Many wondered why Wilson just didn't hand off the ball to Beast Mode up the middle. But it's important to know that the decision was made by the coaching staff, and Pete Carroll defended the call, explaining that it was based on the Patriots' defensive formation and the desire to maximize scoring opportunities in the red zone.
As soon as we got there, I said, one of these plays, we're going to have to throw it to get all 4 plays, because I'm always in, make sure that we have a chance to get all 4 shots. It was rock solid on the philosophy of it. It just was the worst play that could ever happen.
So Russ, as the quarterback, was executing the play called by his coaches, but honestly, why not just change the play to something so much safer? Analysts and fans hated the play call.
That was the worst play call in Super Bowl history.
And to this day, Marshawn gets the same question.
Why you didn't get the ball on the oh man, that nigga Pete Carroll and all that Bevel and them niggas was tripping like till this day.
And the relationship between the Seahawks quarterback and their head coach faced its most severe test with the aftermath of the Super Bowl loss that reported deepened the divide within the team. Some players believe that the play call was designed to give Russ a chance at the Super Bowl MVP, further fueling the perception of favoritism, because they knew if Marshawn would have scored it, it was going to him. The favoritism issue became a significant problem with the team.
Did he get special treatment in that building?
This was unfortunately another thing that divided us. There would be games to where Russ wouldn't perform as well. And you know, Coach Carroll gets up there every Monday, talks about stuff. Some games he would destroy the defense, like, you guys gotta play better. We need more turnovers. And we'll look on the other side like, but coach, like, he threw like 3 interceptions. Like, what do you want from us? And you will see like the accountability wasn't even.
While Pete Carroll publicly denied showing favoritism towards Russ, when asked about it, he will always say he showed favoritism to all his players and how he tried to figure out each guy on his team and help them out to his best ability. Each player is different and requires different coaching styles, but none of the players in the locker room was going for the bullshit. They knew when it came to Russ, he was held on a higher pedestal. I mean, he did stop practice to tell the whole team to stop picking on him. The disconnect in the locker room continued, mainly between the offense and defense. That loss and its aftermath marked the turning point for the Seahawks. What had been a dominant team with a strong sense of unity began to show cracks with growing tension, all because how one player was treated different. This eternal friction would continue to impact the team's dynamic in the years that followed, ultimately contributing to the eventual departure of several key players, including Sherman, Earl Thomas, and eventually Russ himself. Despite the tension with some teammates, Russ remained a strong relationship with his head coach. He often described Carroll as a father figure and spoke highly of their bond. In the early years, their partnership seemed almost perfect. Pete saw potential in Russ, supporting him as the starting quarterback despite his status as a third-round pick. Together, they led the Seahawks to a success, including back-to-back Super Bowl appearances and the franchise's first NFL championship. But their relationship had also had a focal point of controversy. In February 2023, The Athletic reported that Russ had approached the Seahawks ownership the previous year in February of 22, asking for both Carroll and the GM John Schneider to be fired. Russ and Carroll had reportedly clashed for multiple seasons over the signal caller's role in the offense, as well as the direction of the franchise. It was also reported that Russ was convinced that those two men was hindering him when it came to winning more Super Bowls and other individual awards. However, trying to save his character in the media, he denied these claims, tweeting, "I love Pete and he was a father figure to me, and John believed in me and drafted me as well. I never wanted them to be fired. All any of us wanted was to win." But all of that was too late, and the Seahawks were finally done with Russ themselves, and what they did next, no one saw coming.
This clown wants us fired? We try to single-handedly give him a Super Bowl MVP trophy, and that's how he thanks us? What can we get for him?
We have breaking news coming into SportsCenter, and an absolutely massive deal.
Russell Wilson has been traded to the Denver Broncos.
In a massive package of picks and players that will go back to Seattle in exchange for Russell Wilson.
This move marked the end of an era in Seattle and the beginning of what many believe will be a new dynasty in Denver. Russ, the Super Bowl champion and 9-time Pro Bowler, was seen as the missing piece that could elevate the Broncos from mediocre to championship contenders. After years of quarterback struggles following Peyton Manning's retirement, they finally thought that they had a superstar under center.
What are you excited about the most?
Russell Wilson, baby. Let's go. Let's ride, baby.
Right.
Ready for Russell Wilson. We're ready to ride.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited.
Everyone's been saying for a couple years that we're a quarterback short, and to get Russell Wilson puts us right in the mix.
The city of Denver buzzed with anticipation and season ticket sales skyrocketed. His arrival was met with fanfare and high expectations. He was introduced to the Broncos media with his famous line,
"Broncos country, let's ride."
However, beneath the surface of excitement, there was early signs of conflict. Some Bronco players, accustomed to a certain team's culture, were taken by surprise by Wilson's celebrity status and the special treatment he seemed to receive. Reports surfaced of Russ having his own office at the team facility, a perk unheard of for players, and it was said that he had an open door policy and welcomed in any players at any time to discuss plays or football in general. But a few veteran players thought that the separation from the team was an issue, saying, "So are you a coach or a player? Your open door should be you sitting at your locker." No wonder why this dude acts the way he does. He gets the treatment that nobody else gets, and it don't matter what team he's on. Either if he's there for 9+ years or his first year in there, he was getting special treatment without even playing one down for the team yet. And Unc said it best.
I say if the coach treats a player differently and the players see it, they will grow to resent said player. I say, I'm not telling you what somebody told me, I'm telling you what I know.
There have been multiple players that have been with a team 7+, 8+, 9+ years, and once they got traded and went back to face their previous team for the first time, get hella love from the fans of their previous team, especially for players at the quarterback position, like when Peyton first went back to Indianapolis. Or when T. Brady went back to Gillette Stadium, it was the same thing. These fans had nothing but love for their old guys, but that was just not the case in Seattle. Russ did not leave on a good note, because in week 1 of the season, Russ was back at Lumen Field, and the fans were not excited to see him.
Let's go.
But I can tell you after the game what they were though, excited for the dub over their old QB in a 17-16 victory. And as the 2022 season unfolded, the dream of him leading the Broncos to glory quickly turned into a nightmare. Russell's performance was a far cry from his Seattle days. He struggled to adapt to the new head coach, Nathaniel Hackett offense, often looking lost and indecisive on the field. The Broncos offense, expected to be explosive, stalled game after game. His stats plummeted. His completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratio, and passer ratings all hit career lows. And the team's record reflected this poor performance as they finished the year 4-11, far below the playoffs expectations set at the start of the season.
I think we're going to go for 11 wins and a playoff for sure.
One of the most telling incidents that his teammates weren't rocking with him that season occurred during the game against the Carolina Panthers. As the Broncos offense continued to suck each drive, the cameras caught defensive lineman Mike Purcell yelling at Russ. The image of a defensive player confronting his own quarterback spoke volumes about where the team stood with their quarterback. And after losing the game, of course Russ tried to make it seem like it was just some friendly motivation.
He was pissed off. He just said, we gotta effing go, you know. And I agree, you know. So me and him on the same page. There's no animosity there at all. We're on the same page. We got to win. So yeah, no, there's nothing there at all. I mean, me and him, there was no nothing there.
Behind the scenes, the situation was worse and was just like his time in Seattle. Reports began to surface the growing friction between him and his teammates, and his perceived standoffish vibe and focus on his personal brand over team success just didn't sit well with his teammates. A few veteran defensive players in particular were said to be frustrated with Wilson's poor play and the team struggles. The coaching staff, led by the inexperienced Nathan, seemed ill-equipped to handle the situation. There were whispers of disagreements between Russ and Hackett over offensive strategies and play calling. The lack of chemistry between coach and quarterback was painfully evident on the field. As the season wore on, the initial excitement of the Broncos fans turned into disappointment and then to anger.
With boos raining down, Denver is not able to get it done in a goal-to-go situation.
A 5'10" quarterback who maybe didn't see him. Again, the crowd after that 51-yarder got excited. And you can hear the boos raining down.
His phrase, Broncos, let's ride, started to get a lot of fans and media angry, especially with the way that they were performing.
This conference, he goes again and he's like, Denver Broncos, country, let's ride, right? Nobody riding right now.
Nobody's riding.
Right? You know where everybody rode last night, Stephen A? Home.
The massive contract he had signed, a 5-year, $245 million deal, started to seem like a bad investment for the franchise. The fallout from that shitty season was severe. Hackett was fired before the year was even over, lasting only 15 games as head coach. The Broncos ownership, which had just changed hands just months earlier in a record-setting $4.6 billion sale, was faced with a crisis. They had invested heavily in Russ, both in terms of draft capital and financial resources, and now faced the prospect of a long, expensive rebuild. The 2023 season began with hopes of things turning around under new head coach Sean Payton. Russ, coming off one of his worst years yet, showed signs of improvement. His completion percentage increased, and he led the Broncos to several game-winning drives. By mid-season, the Broncos were on a 5-game winning streak. He had already surpassed his previous season touchdown total and was playing way better. It was short-lived though. Despite the mid-season success, the Broncos' playoff hopes began to fade as they stumbled in crucial games. By the end of the season, the team decided to bench Russ for the final 2 games. The decision highlighted the ongoing uncertainty about his future with the team, and the reports of the undivided locker room continued into the 2023 season. While some players appreciated his efforts and leadership, others remained skeptical. This divide was a constant problem affecting the team's bond. The NFL Network reported that Wilson had lost some of the players around the team and lost some players in that locker room, and this seemed to stem from his privileged treatment, his struggles on the field, and his public persona. Some players just found it hard to rock with dude because of his carefully crafted image and his endless optimism as the team continued to fail. Russell's time with the Denver Broncos shows how quickly NFL fortunes can change. What began with Super Bowl aspirations ended in disappointment. As the team headed into the offseason, the question loomed large. Could Russell recapture the magic that made him a star in Seattle, or will the Broncos finally wash their hands with their $245 million quarterback? His time will be remembered not for the limited amount of victories on the field, but for the battles fought on the sideline and in a locker room.